Why did a quiet man let me talk, smile, and post, then end it in one public moment? How did one funny dinner with his parents turn into papers handed to me in a bright lobby, with strangers watching? I kept asking why he stopped talking, but the real question was why I thought silence meant nothing was happening. My name is Eustacia Pierce, but most people call me Staci because Eustacia sounds like a poem and I have a normal life. I worked as an office coordinator at a logistics company. I liked clean lines, nice shoes, and people listening when I spoke. I married Graham Keller because he looked steady. He was the kind of man who paid bills early and fixed things without talking about it. That night, we drove to his parents' townhouse for dinner. It was not far, but it felt like a trip to a different world. Graham kept both hands on the wheel and stared ahead. I watched the houses change. The lawns got smaller. The cars got older. I told myself it was fine. I told myself I could handle one simple dinner. Graham asked if I could be kind tonight. I said I was always kind, and that he was already acting like I was a problem. He took a slow breath and said he did not want a scene. I said nobody wanted a scene, but he was the one making it tense. When we arrived, his mother, Sharon, opened the door fast, like she had been waiting behind it. She smiled too wide. She hugged Graham and then looked at me like she was checking the weather. His father, Howard, stood behind her with a soft face. He had that look men get when they do not want trouble, but cannot run away from it. Sharon asked how work was. I said work was busy and important. Howard asked if the traffic was bad. I said it was fine and that the area was not as hard to reach as I expected. I meant it as a joke. It landed like a stone. Inside, everything was clean but old. The carpet had a worn path. The couch looked like it had been loved for years. There were framed photos on the wall, mostly of Graham as a kid. I saw a school picture where his hair was cut too short. I laughed without thinking. Graham asked what was funny. I said it was cute, and that I was just surprised he ever let his mother dress him like that. Sharon told us to sit. She served food that smelled good, simple and warm. I could have said thank you and eaten. But my mouth ran ahead of me, like it always did when I felt watched. I said it was sweet that she still cooked like this, and that it reminded me of before people had options. Sharon's smile froze for half a second. Graham looked at me, quick and sharp. I acted like I did not see it. Howard asked about our place. I said our kitchen was bigger and easier to move in. Sharon asked if we were still saving for a family trip. I said we preferred to spend on quality, not just getting by. I heard my own voice and thought it sounded strong. I thought it sounded like leadership. Graham asked me, quietly, to slow down. I said I was only talking, and that his parents knew how the world worked. Sharon asked if I wanted more bread. I said I did not eat bread much anymore because I tried to keep a certain look. I looked at her hands when I said it, because her hands were rough and a little red. I told myself I was not judging. I told myself I was motivating her. Then I made the worst comment, the one that changed the air in the room. Sharon mentioned how they kept some old furniture because it still worked. I said it was kind of brave to live like that and not feel shame. I added that some people got stuck because they did not aim higher. I smiled like I was giving advice. I waited for praise. Howard stopped chewing. Sharon put her fork down. Graham's face went tight. He asked why I would say shame at his parents' table. I said I was not saying they should feel shame, and that he was twisting my words. I told him he always did that. I said he made me sound mean when I was just honest. Sharon asked if I thought they were not good enough. I said I never said that, and that she was being emotional. I said it was normal for parents to be sensitive about their choices. I leaned back in my chair like I was calm. Inside, I felt heat in my chest, like I was being attacked for no reason. Graham asked me to apologize. I said I did not apologize for telling the truth, and that if his parents wanted respect, they could stop acting fragile. I said respect followed results, and results did not come from comfort. I watched Graham's mother blink hard, like she was pushing tears away. I told myself she needed to hear it. I told myself I was helping Graham too, because he would not have to carry their small life on his back. Before we dive deeper into the story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible stories. Sharon stood and started clearing plates too early. Howard followed her without a word. Graham sat still for a moment, then asked if we could leave. I said I did not want to leave because it would look bad. I said he was overreacting and making it a bigger thing. I added that his parents had seen worse than a few comments. On the drive home, Graham asked why I liked hurting people. I said I did not hurt people, and that he was trying to blame me for his own shame. I said he carried his family's money problems like a secret, and he wanted me to pretend it was normal. I said I refused to live in a lie. He asked if I even heard myself. I said I heard myself clearly, and that he should stop trying to control how I spoke. At home, he did not follow me into the bedroom. He walked toward the kitchen, then stopped, like he forgot what he wanted. His phone buzzed once. I saw the screen light up with a missed call, and there was no name. It only showed unknown. He turned the phone face down. I asked who it was. He said it was nothing. I said he was suddenly full of secrets, and that it was funny because he accused me of being the bad one. He did not argue. He opened his calendar and stared at it for a second. I caught a glimpse of a reminder that said something like a place and a time. It looked like downtown 10:15 a.m. He tapped it away fast. Then he reached into a drawer and slid a folder inside. I only saw the edge, but I noticed a neat label, like household. He closed the drawer with a careful click. I stood there and waited for him to snap. I wanted a fight. A fight would prove he was the real problem. But he did not give it to me. He just washed one plate, slowly, like he was doing a task at work. I told him he was acting cold and punishing me. He looked at me and asked if I could stop humiliating him. I said he humiliated himself by letting his parents live like that and calling it pride. He did not raise his voice. He dried his hands and walked past me without touching me. He went down the hall and shut the guest room door. I heard the soft sound of the lock. For the first time that night, I felt a small, sharp fear. Not because I thought I had done something wrong. I still thought I was right. I was afraid because he did not look broken. He looked organized. On Monday, I went back to my office like nothing happened. I wore a blazer that made me feel sharp. I told myself that I was the kind of woman who kept moving, no matter what men did at home. In the elevator, I practiced a calm face. I decided that if Graham wanted to act hurt, then I would act strong. At my desk, I opened my email and made small noises like I was busy. People in an open office notice everything. They notice your tone, your coffee, your silence. I wanted them to notice I was fine. I wanted them to ask what happened so I could choose the story. Kendra Voss walked by and asked if I was okay, because I looked tired. I said I had a long weekend and that home life was a lot. She asked what I meant. I said sometimes men got insecure when women grew. I said it like a joke. She nodded, but her eyes stayed sharp. In the break room, Cassidy Lynn was already there with 2 other women. Cassidy asked if I had seen my husband's mother lately. I said yes, and I said it in a way that made them lean closer. Cassidy asked how it went. I said I tried to help them, but Graham took it the wrong way. I said his family liked to live small and then act proud of it. I said it was sad. I said I did not understand why Graham wanted me to pretend it was normal. Cassidy asked what I said at dinner. I said I only made light comments, and that Graham made a big drama because he hated being reminded of where he came from. One of the women asked if his parents were nice. I said they were nice in a basic way, but they did not know how to act in a modern world. I laughed. Cassidy laughed too. The other woman hesitated, then laughed because she did not want to be left out. Kendra came in and poured tea. She asked if Graham was upset. I said he was punishing me with silence. Cassidy asked if he was angry. I said he was not angry. he was controlling. I said he used quiet like a weapon, and it was worse than yelling because it made me look like the bad one. I said, I did not deserve that. Later, my phone buzzed at my desk. It was Noah Rios from a vendor team we worked with. He wrote that he hoped my week started well. He asked if I was free to talk about the new shipment schedule. I told myself it was work. I told myself I was important and people needed me. I wrote back that I could talk after lunch. When we talked, Noah asked how my weekend was. I said it was stressful because my husband was being difficult. Noah said he was sorry and asked what Graham did. I said Graham had issues with pride, and he took things personally. Noah said I sounded like I carried the whole relationship. I liked how he said it. It made me feel seen. I told him he understood me better than most people. At lunch, I stayed in the office instead of going out. I wanted to keep control of the day. I opened a spreadsheet to track invoices. I saw a thread on my screen named follow-up from last week. I clicked it fast and then clicked away. I did not want anyone behind me to see Noah's name too often. I told myself I was careful. I told myself careful people were smart, not guilty. In the afternoon, Graham texted me once. He asked if we could talk after dinner. I said I was tired and that he could stop trying to manage me. He replied that he only wanted calm. I said calm should have started at his parents' house, and he broke it, not me. He did not reply after that. When I got home, I expected him to stand in the hallway and demand answers. I expected a fight. Instead, the house felt quiet in a clean, sharp way. The kitchen light was on. A mug sat on the counter, but it was not next to my mug. It was on the other side, like a line in the middle. That small space made me angry. Graham asked how my day was. I said it was fine. I asked why he was acting like a stranger. He said he did not want to argue. I said he was making a point by refusing to talk, and it was childish. He said he was not refusing. He was choosing peace. I said peace was not real when one person used it to punish the other. Mila ran in and showed me a drawing from school. She asked if I liked it. I said yes and kissed her head. Graham asked if I could sign a school form later. I said yes, but I said it like I was doing him a favor. I watched him put the paper in a folder on the counter. The folder had a label on it. I could not read it fully, but I saw clean printed letters. It looked like the kind of label people used for bills. It bothered me because it felt planned. After dinner, Graham cleaned up without asking for help. I asked why he was being so dramatic. He said he was just cleaning. I asked why he was not talking about what happened. He said there was nothing to discuss if I would not be respectful. I said respect went both ways, and his family did not respect me because they acted like my standards were rude. He looked at me and asked if I could hear how I sounded. I said yes, and I said I sounded honest. I walked past the small desk in the hallway and saw a sticky note by his keys. It said, "Bring forms." The handwriting was neat. I asked what forms. He said it was personal. I smiled and asked if he had a secret life now. He said no, and he said it without emotion. I said he was acting guilty. He said he was tired. Later, while I put Mila to bed, I heard a low hum from the other side of the house. It stopped and started again. At first, I thought it was the washing machine. Then I realized it sounded like the shredder in the office we kept for old papers. I told myself he was shredding junk mail. I told myself it meant nothing, but I felt my stomach tighten anyway. When I came out of Mila's room, Graham was in the kitchen with his laptop open. I saw a grid of rows and numbers, like a budget. He closed it when I got close. I asked what he was doing. He said he was organizing things. I said he never organized before. He said he always did, but I never cared to notice. That line made my face burn. I followed him to the living room and asked why he was treating me like an enemy. He said he did not treat me like anything. He was just keeping things simple. I said simple was another word for cold. He asked if I wanted to say sorry to his parents. I said no, because I did not lie to older people to keep them comfortable. He looked down for a second, then looked back up. He asked if I loved him. I said of course I did, and I said it fast, like a reflex. He did not push. He did not beg. He just nodded once, like he filed my answer away. Then his phone made a soft sound, like a quiet alert. I saw a message preview flash and disappear. I did not see the sender. He turned the phone face down and stood up. I told myself he was trying to scare me with silence and secrets. I told myself he needed me more than I needed him. Still, when he walked to the guest room and shut the door, I stood in the hallway longer than I meant to. I listened. I heard a small click, like a drawer locking. Then I heard a single chime from a device, the kind of sound that meant something had been saved or sent. I told myself it was nothing, and I went to bed alone, angry that he did not come after me. Friday came fast. I told myself I earned a night out. I told myself a wife did not have to sit at home and wait for a man to stop being dramatic. Graham still slept in the guest room most nights. He still spoke to me like he spoke to a coworker. He asked about Mila's lunchbox and homework. I answered. He did not ask about my feelings. That part made me feel both angry and empty, so I chose anger. Cassidy texted me about a rooftop bar downtown. She said the view was perfect and the crowd was fun. I said yes right away. I did not ask Graham. I told him I had a work thing. He asked what kind of work thing happened at night. I said networking mattered, and he would not understand. He nodded once and said, okay. I took extra time getting ready. I picked a dress that looked expensive even if it was not. I practiced a smile in the mirror like it was a skill. Mila asked where I was going. I said I was meeting friends. Graham asked if I could be home by midnight. I said he was not my father. He said he was thinking about Mila's morning. I said he could handle one morning like a parent. On the train, I scrolled through photos of myself. I chose one from earlier that day. In the office, with good lighting. I posted it with a short caption about grind. I watched the likes come in. It calmed me in a shallow way. It made me feel real. At the bar, the wind was cold but the heaters were on. Music thumped in the floor under my feet. Cassidy hugged me and said, I looked amazing. I said I needed this. 2 other women from her salon were there. They asked about Graham. I said he was still acting hurt over nothing. One of them asked what I meant by nothing. I said he got upset when I spoke my mind, and it was exhausting. Cassidy said he sounded insecure. I said yes, and I enjoyed how easy the word felt in my mouth. People took pictures of drinks and the skyline. Everyone's phone was out. I leaned into it. I wanted my life to look bright. I told myself bright meant healthy. I told myself my marriage was only dark because Graham refused to play his part. Noah was there too, which I pretended was a surprise. He walked up like it was normal and asked how I was doing. I said I was fine and that I was glad to see a friendly face. He asked if Graham was with me. I said no, and that Graham did not like fun places. Noah said Graham sounded strict. I said he was strict in a cheap way, like rules were his whole personality. Cassidy asked Noah if he worked with me. Noah said yes, and that I kept everything running. Cassidy told me I should be appreciated at home. I said I agreed. Noah looked at me and said, I deserved someone who saw me. I smiled. I told myself it was just words. I told myself words did not count. We moved to a table near the railing. The city lights made my skin look smooth. Someone suggested a toast. Cassidy lifted her glass and said she wanted to celebrate women who did not shrink for men. I laughed and clinked glasses. Noah asked if Graham ever apologized to me. I said he never apologized because he always thought he was right. I said he used his good guy act to make me look crazy. Noah said he could tell I carried a lot. I said yes, and I felt powerful when I said it. At one point, someone took a video of us laughing. I leaned in close to Cassidy and said Graham was too proud of his poor family story, like suffering was a badge. Cassidy asked what I said to his parents. I said I told them the truth and they could not handle it. The women laughed. I felt a rush in my chest like I had won something. I went to the smoking patio with Noah, even though I did not smoke. He asked why I stayed with Graham if he treated me so cold. I said marriage was complicated and people had needs. Noah said needs were normal and nobody should feel trapped. He asked if I ever thought about leaving. I said Graham would fall apart without me, and it would be unfair to Mila. Noah said I sounded loyal. I said I was loyal to the life I built. Noah stepped a little closer and asked if we could talk somewhere quieter sometime. I said we could talk after work one day, just to clear my head. He asked if Graham knew. I said Graham did not need to know everything because he acted like a judge. Noah said he liked my fire. I said I was only honest. I checked my phone and saw a message from Graham. He asked if I was okay and if I needed a ride. I did not reply right away. I wanted him to feel my absence. I wanted him to wonder. When I did reply, I said I was fine and that I would get home on my own. He said okay and asked me to text when I arrived. I rolled my eyes and told Cassidy he was doing the control thing again. Cassidy said I should post more so people saw I was living. So I posted a photo of the skyline with my drink in the corner. I did not tag Noah, but his sleeve was in the frame. I told myself it was nothing. I told myself if Graham saw it and got jealous, that was his problem. Near midnight, I left. Noah offered to walk me to the elevator. I said yes because it made me feel important. In the elevator, he asked if I was happy. I said happiness was hard with a man who stayed angry. He said I deserved more than anger. I said maybe I did. Outside, the air smelled like rain and car exhaust. I ordered a ride, but it took long. Noah asked if I wanted to wait in the lobby of the building across the street. I said yes. We stood under bright lights while security watched. Noah asked if I was scared of Graham. I said Graham would never do anything. He just acted hurt like a child. I said the real danger was being bored forever. Noah smiled like he understood too well. When my ride came, I left fast. In the car, I watched the street slide by. I felt tired, but also alive. I told myself this was what being valued felt like. At home, the driveway looked different. My car was parked straighter than I remembered, pointed toward the street. For a second, I wondered if Graham moved it. Then I told myself I was being silly. Inside, the hallway light was on. The house was quiet. Graham was not waiting for me. That annoyed me more than it should have. I walked into the kitchen and saw 2 mugs on opposite counters, like they belonged to different people. I opened the fridge and closed it just to make noise. Graham stepped out of the guest room and asked if I was home. I said yes, and asked why he was awake. He said he wanted to make sure I got in safe. I said I did not need a babysitter. He asked where I went. I said I told him, a work thing. He asked why I smelled like a bar. I said because people talked over drinks, and he would know that if he ever left the house. He did not argue. He just looked at me like he was taking a picture with his eyes. I hated that look. It made me feel like I was standing in a spotlight. His phone made a soft beep. It was not a loud ring. It sounded like an app starting and stopping. He turned the screen away from me. I asked what that was. He said it was nothing, and that he was going back to bed. I told him he was acting secretive. He said he was tired and wanted peace. He walked back to the guest room. I followed a few steps and asked if he planned to ignore me forever. He asked if I wanted to talk without insulting his family. I said his family was the root of his shame, and he knew it. He paused, then said he would not talk tonight. I stood alone in the hall after he shut the door. I listened for movement. I heard a small click, like a lock. Then nothing. I told myself his silence was a trick. I told myself I was still in control. But I went to bed with my phone in my hand, staring at Noah's last message, and I felt the strange fear again, like the ground under me was slowly moving. The next week, the silence got louder. Graham still spoke, but only in small, useful lines. He asked if Mila had her library book. I said yes. He asked what time her dentist appointment was. I said I had it in my phone. He did not ask about my night out. He did not ask about Noah. That should have made me feel safe, but it made me feel dismissed. On Tuesday, I went to the school pickup line early. I wanted to look like the stable parent. I wanted the teachers to see me first. I parked close and checked my reflection in the mirror. I told myself I was the normal one. I told myself Graham was the one acting strange. Graham arrived a few minutes later and parked 2 spaces away. He did not wave. He stood by the car and looked at his phone, then looked up at the school doors. He kept his shoulders relaxed, like he was waiting for a bus. I walked over and asked why he could not stand with me like a husband. He said he did not want to argue in public. I said I was not arguing, I was asking a question. He asked if we could keep things calm for Mila. I said Mila needed to see her parents united, and he was breaking that. He said unity did not come from pretending. I said he loved sounding wise when he was really just stubborn. A mum nearby glanced at us. I noticed and lowered my voice, but my face stayed tight. Graham kept his tone even. That made me feel like the loud one, which I hated. When the doors opened, Mila came out with her backpack bouncing. She ran to Graham first and grabbed his hand. That small choice hit me like a slap. I smiled anyway. I told myself kids just went to the calmer parent, not the better one. Mila asked if we could all get ice cream. Graham said we had dinner plans tonight and we could do ice cream another day. Mila asked why dinner was special. I said it was a family meal and we should all behave. Graham looked at me and asked what I meant by behave. I said he knew what I meant. The dinner was my idea, and I told myself it was a smart move. After the rooftop night, I needed a setting where I could look generous. I suggested a chain family restaurant with a long table. I invited my parents, my sister Brielle, and Graham's parents. I framed it as healing. I told everyone it would be good for Mila to see everyone together. My mother, Patricia, said it was nice that I was trying. I said I was always the one who tried. Brielle said she would come and keep it light. Graham did not argue. He just said okay and asked what time. Before we left, I saw Graham standing at the small desk in the hall. He was sorting papers into a folder. He did not hide it, but he did not show it either. The folder had clean labels. I caught bank on one tab before he turned his body. I asked why he was so focused on paperwork lately. He said he was organizing the household. I said it sounded like a cover. He said I could think what I wanted. In the car, Mila talked about school and a class pet. Graham asked her questions and listened. I stared out the window and told myself he was trying to look like the hero. I told myself he wanted witnesses, just like I did. At the restaurant, the hostess led us to a long table. Bright lights, loud families, and the smell of fried food filled the air. I liked it because it was public. Public places make people act polite. I thought Graham would have to play nice. My parents arrived first. My mother hugged me and asked if I was okay. I said I was fine and that Graham was still in a mood. My father, Dale, nodded but did not add anything. Brielle arrived wearing lipstick that looked like a statement. She asked if Graham's parents were coming. I said yes, and I said it like I was doing them a favor. When Sharon and Howard arrived, Sharon carried a small gift bag for Mila. She smiled at Mila, but her eyes did not warm for me. Howard nodded at me once and sat down. Graham stood up and pulled out Sharon's chair. I watched him do it, and it annoyed me because it looked respectful. Sharon asked how Mila was doing in school. I said Mila was smart, and she got it from my side. Graham's mouth tightened. He asked Mila to tell Grandma about her drawing. Mila did, and Sharon's face softened. The server came and asked what we wanted to drink. Everyone ordered simple things. When it was my turn, I made a little show of ordering something better. I liked the sound of it. I liked my mother's smile when I did it. As we waited, Brielle asked Sharon what she had been up to. Sharon said she volunteered at a community pantry and helped a neighbor after surgery. Riel said that was so humble. I jumped in and said humble was one word, and stuck was another. I said some people did not move forward because they feared change. I said it casually, like it was a general thought. Sharon looked at me and asked if I was talking about her. I said I was talking about society, and it was interesting, she took it personally. My mother laughed and said I had always been direct. Graham asked me to stop, quietly. I said he was policing me again. He said he was asking for basic respect. I said respect was earned, not demanded. Howard cleared his throat. He asked if we could keep the dinner peaceful for Mila. I said I agreed and then looked at Graham, like he was the one who needed the reminder. Graham did not react. He just took a sip of water. The food arrived. Everyone started eating. I kept talking, because silence feels like losing to me. I told a story about work and said some people stayed in low roles because they were too comfortable. I looked at Howard when I said it, and I told myself it was not about him. It was. I wanted them to feel small so I could feel safe. Graham asked why I kept aiming at his parents. I said I was not aiming at anyone, and he was projecting his own shame. Sharon asked if I even liked their family. I said of course I did, and I said I would not be married to Graham if I did not. Then I added that love did not mean pretending everything was fine. I said families should improve, not just survive. My father set his fork down. He looked tired. He asked me to ease up. I asked him why he suddenly cared. He did not answer. My mother jumped in and said I was only trying to help, and that people hated hearing truth. Brielle nodded like a judge. Graham stayed calm, which made me feel worse. He asked me if I could apologize for the comments at his parents' house. I said I would not apologize for being honest. Sharon's eyes went wet, but she blinked hard and kept eating. Howard stared at his plate. Mila looked back and forth between faces, like she could feel the tension even if she could not name it. After dinner, we walked out to the parking lot. The air was cold and smelled like car fumes. My mother told Graham he needed to stop sulking. Graham said he was not sulking, he was setting boundaries. My mother asked what boundaries. Graham said he would not let his parents be mocked again. I laughed and said he sounded dramatic. He looked at me and said I could call it what I wanted, but it was not changing. Then he opened the trunk to put leftovers inside. I saw 2 folders in a neat stack. One label said utilities. Another label said bank. I stared a second too long. I asked why he carried folders in the car. He said it was easier to keep things together. I said he was acting like he planned an escape. He said he was acting like an adult. On the drive home, Mila got quiet. She asked if Grandma Sharon was sad because of her. Graham said no, and told her it was not her fault. I told Mila she did nothing wrong, and that adults just got sensitive sometimes. Graham glanced at me, and his eyes looked flat. At home, after Mila went to bed, I walked past the guest room and saw light under the door. I heard a keyboard sound, then silence. I pushed the door a little and asked what he was doing. He said he was working on a budget. I said he never cared about budgets before. He said he always cared, and I just did not notice because I liked spending when it felt good. I told him he was trying to punish me with numbers now. He asked if I wanted to talk without insults. I said he should start by choosing me over his parents' pride. He said he already chose the family, and respect was part of that. I said he was making me the villain. He said he was not making anything. He was simply refusing to lie. I walked away, but my mind stayed on those folders and that calm voice. I still told myself he was weak. I still told myself he would come back to me when he got tired of pretending to be strong. But that night, lying in bed alone, I could not ignore one simple truth. He was not reacting the way I expected, and my usual tricks were not working. By Thursday, I stopped pretending I was calm. I still acted calm in public, but inside I felt scratched raw. Graham was not chasing me. He was not begging. He was not yelling. He was doing something worse. He was acting like I was already in the past. I tried to fix that the only way I knew how. I pushed for a reaction. That morning, I told him we needed groceries. I said the fridge looked empty, like we were poor now. He did not flinch. He asked what we needed and said he could go after work. I said I would go because I had time and because I did not want him controlling the money. He asked why I always used the word control. I said because it was true. We drove together anyway, which felt like a small win. I told myself it meant he was softening. He sat in the passenger seat and looked out the window, like the car ride was only transport. His phone sat face down in his lap. Every now and then it lit up with a quiet buzz. He did not check it in front of me. He did not have to. The fact that he could ignore it made me feel like he had a second life that did not include me. At the supermarket, the air smelled like fruit and floor cleaner. I pushed the cart fast. I picked items I liked, not just what we needed. I grabbed name-brand things and told myself I earned them. Graham followed behind with a neutral face. He did not argue about prices. That should have made me feel safe. Instead, it made me feel like he was letting me build a rope. At checkout, the line was long. People stood close behind us, watching the belt. Mila was not with us, which made me feel freer and meaner. The cashier scanned the items and said the total. I lifted my chin and pulled out our shared card like it was a symbol. The card beeped once and the screen flashed. The cashier tried again. The same beep. Then she said it did not go through. For a second, the store felt too loud. I felt eyes. I felt heat in my neck. I laughed in a fake way and said the machine was probably broken. The cashier said she could try another terminal. She did. It still did not go through. I turned to Graham and asked what he did. He said he did not do anything at the register. He said it might be a hold or a limit and that we could use another card. His voice was calm. That calm felt like a slap. I said he was humiliating me on purpose. He asked me to lower my voice. I said I would not lower my voice when he was making me look stupid. He said he was not making me look like anything, and we could just pay another way and go home. I said he was playing games and calling it peace. He took out a different card and paid without drama. The cashier smiled politely, like she had already seen worse couples today. I grabbed the bags harder than I needed to. In my head, I told myself this was abuse. I told myself he was using money to punish me. That story helped me breathe. In the parking lot, the cold wind hit my face. Graham opened the trunk and placed the bags in neat rows. His movements were careful, like he did not want to forget a detail. I noticed a small camera on the windshield, angled toward the cabin. I had seen it before, but now I really saw it. I asked when he put in a dash cam. He said it had been there for a while. I said that was creepy. He asked why it was creepy to record driving for safety. I said it was creepy because he always found ways to watch people. He said nobody was being watched. It was for accidents and insurance. I said he was lying. He did not argue. He shut the trunk and said we should go. On the drive home, I pushed again. I asked if he was moving money around. He said he was reorganizing accounts because things needed structure. I said structure was another word for control. He said structure was how adults kept a home stable. I said I was an adult too, and he could not treat me like a child. He asked if I wanted to sit down later and talk about a budget. I said budgets were for people who could not earn more. He said budgets were for people who wanted to protect their child. That line made me feel small, so I turned it into anger. I said he was using Mila as a shield. He said he was putting Mila first. I said I put Mila first too, but I also mattered. He said I mattered, but my behavior mattered too. I asked what behavior. He said mocking his parents, telling people private things, staying out late, and treating him like a joke. I said he was exaggerating and acting like a victim again. At home, I walked up the stairs fast and left the grocery bags half unpacked. I wanted him to complain. He did not. He started unpacking them himself. He did it quietly, like he was cleaning up after a spill. I followed him into the kitchen and asked if he thought he could starve me into being nice. He looked up and asked why I always assumed the worst of him. I said because he trained me to. He asked how he trained me. I said with his silence, his cold face, his little rules, and his constant loyalty to his parents over me. He asked if I was still talking about dinner. I said yes, because it proved something. It proved he would always choose them. He said he chose respect, not sides. I said respect should start with me. He said respect started with what we did, not what we demanded. I tried a different tactic. I softened my voice and asked if he missed me. He paused like he was choosing words carefully. He said he missed the person he thought I was. I laughed and said he was being dramatic again. He did not react. He just turned back to the fridge and placed milk on the shelf like it was a task on a list. That night, I came down the stairs and saw the small desk in the hall again. A few tabs were open on his laptop. I only caught pieces before he angled the screen away. I saw words like delivery tracking and notary near me. My heart kicked. I asked what he was doing. He said he was handling personal tasks. I said what tasks? He said tasks an adult handled. Later, I heard his phone alarm go off softly. I was in the stairwell landing, half listening. The alarm label flashed for a second before he silenced it. It said, "Paper drop 9:40 a.m. I felt my throat tighten. I told myself it was work. I told myself it was some boring thing like taxes. But the timing, the labels, the folders, the calm tone, all of it lined up like a row of lights. I tried to force the final reaction. I stepped close and asked directly if he had proof of something. He asked what I meant. I said he acted like he was building a case, like I was a criminal. He said he was not building drama. He was building clarity. I asked if he planned to ruin me. He said he did not plan to ruin anyone. He planned to protect Mila and protect himself. I said he was making me the enemy. He said I made myself the enemy when I chose to humiliate his family and then pretend it was love. I felt rage rise, and I wanted to say something sharp enough to cut him into reacting. Before I could, he spoke first. He looked at me with that flat, steady face and said he was done doing this the messy way. He said he would handle it properly, and for the first time, I believed him. The next morning, Graham asked me to meet him downtown. He said it was about logistics and Mila's schedule. I told myself he wanted to talk like a husband again. I wore a clean coat and practiced a calm face in the mirror. We met in an office tower lobby with bright lights and a security desk. People walked through with coffee and badges. I hated the place because it made everything feel official. Graham stood near a pillar with his hands relaxed. Sharon and Howard were not far behind him, quiet like they were there for support, not drama. I asked why his parents were there. He said they did not speak, they just wanted to be present. I said that was theatrical. He did not answer. A woman I did not know walked toward me and asked if I was Eustacia Pierce. I said yes. She handed me a thick envelope. She said she was serving documents. My mouth went dry. I looked at Graham like he set a trap. He did not smirk. He did not look happy. He looked clean and tired. I opened the first page and saw the words that made my knees feel weak. Divorce, temporary orders, a schedule, rules that started today. It said what happened with Mila, where she would sleep, and how drop-offs would work. It said what would happen with money, and what would not happen anymore without agreement. It used simple language, but it felt heavy. I asked Graham if he was really doing this in public. He said he wanted it peaceful and clear. I said he was trying to shame me. He said I shamed myself when I mocked his parents and then lied about it. I said I never lied. He said I did. He said he had screenshots of my messages with Noah. He said he had timestamps from my posts and my location history. He said he had audio from the night I joked about his family at the restaurant, and the clip from his parents' dinner where I used the word shame. He said he had bank records that matched nights I said I was networking. He said he did not raise his voice because he did not need to. My mother rushed in then, loud and angry, demanding to know what was happening. Security stepped closer and asked her to calm down. Graham stayed still. He told her he was doing it properly. I wanted to argue. I wanted a crowd to pick sides. But the lobby did not care about my story. The papers said, "Effective immediately." And Graham turned and walked toward the doors like a man who finally stopped begging.